All right, so let's talk about the Neon One integration that we've upgraded in ClickBid, and I'm just going to get right into it. We're going to cruise right through it. Feel free to pause, go back, play different sections. We'll try to put chapters in here for you. So head over to Integrations Dashboard. You're going to see all of our integrations here, and you're going to click on Connect for the Neon integration. You're going to need an org ID and an API key. Good thing I know where those are. So if I go to Neon and I'm on my dashboard here, I click on the gear icon, user management, Matt Burnell, and then I make sure that my API access card is turned on. And poof, there is my API key. I'm going to take that, paste it right in here. My org ID is going to be pretty easy to find. It's in the URL. If you're in Chrome, it's right up here at the top. It's after the HTTPS:// and before the first period. So ClickBid sandbox. So it's before the .app and after the //. Paste that in. I'm going to hit connect. And if all goes well, you're going to see a blue connected button. If you press on that, you can always disconnect the integration when you're done. All right, cool. So now that we're connected, you see a Neon CRM dropdown. I'm going to choose that, and I have a handful of menu items. So we're going to go through all of them. A lot of this has changed from the first version that we had. So pretty excited to kind of go through it with you here. So we got settings. These are the settings you're going to start with. We're going to use these throughout the use of your integration. You can choose a campaign. I've got Hoot for Hope 5K selected. Brand new auto sync option. This runs every 5 minutes if it's turned on, and it moves data from ClickBid to Neon. So if somebody buys a ticket, somebody registers a bidder, somebody gives us information on a ticket sale, then we're going to go ahead and send that data over to Neon. When we do synchronize automatically, we match on first name, or I'm sorry, we match on email address. So that way we don't accidentally create too many of the same people. We don't want to have duplicates in the Neon system. The Sync Now option is a manual button that you can press to send the data instead of using auto sync every 5 minutes. This will push data from ClickBid over to Neon. Send attendee data is a button that you're going to use at the end of the event. You can click on this little info button here. It's going to tell you, recommend not to use this until you're done with your event and you've processed all your payments, because this is going to send data to Neon about sales that you made and information about you as a bidder. So if you placed 15 bids, you won 5 things, your highest bid was, $1,700, you made a donation, you bought a ticket, all those things are going to get added into a custom object that we've created on your Neon account. We're going to hang on to it. The great news about that is that for every event that you do in ClickBid, when you connect it to Neon, we're going to send all that data to the same custom object. So you have a bunch of historical data that will accumulate over time. Pretty exciting. So you want to hang on to this until the end of the event. Let's take a look at the sales export defaults. You've got unrestricted, source, silent, purpose. You can set these as defaults to get started. Let's take a look at data mappings. Data mappings will actually map custom fields within existing donations and accounts. So if I click on a custom mapping, I can choose an account record or a donation record. So let's choose donation. And I want to add item category from Neon to item category in ClickBid. This is a custom field that I created in my Neon account. If I go to global settings under the gear icon, you have custom fields and you can mess with the account and the donation. So you can add custom fields there and then send, when data gets sent from ClickBid to Neon, it's going to map to those custom fields just like we used to do. All right, you've got some import and export options, importing bidders. So these are people that are associated with the Hoot for Hope 5K. If I go into CRM and I go to fundraising, campaigns, take a look here. I have Hoot for Hope Gala, and I have 46, count them, 46 donors. Then I should have 46, look at that, 46 people that I can import. Some of them are already imported. I can see that here. I have Bob and Polly. These are imported, so they're grayed out. Can't do it again, which would make sense. I'm going to choose whatever that is. That's interesting. So I'm going to choose test. Let's try that. So I'm going to import him. I'm going to select the box, hit import, and it says it takes about 5 minutes. I don't know that I've ever not had it happen immediately. So here we are. If I looked in my bidders under the bidder tab, I would see a test. Pretty cool. You can import as many as you want. The nice thing about this is it automatically makes a link between the bidder and the account in Neon. Export bidders. Let's say somebody walks up to the event. You haven't had them in your Neon account ever before, and now you're going to add them at the event itself. So a walk up. Now, what we can do is let's do super testing account. You can tell this is my demo. I've tried to come up with a lot of names. Anyway, I have here super testing account is not in Neon. I can see that because it says Neon CRM ID. So I'm just going to click on that, export update. I'm going to export it. And now if I give it a minute, I'm going to just do a search here for account. Let's see if we've got, let me just do super testing. There we go. Super testing account is now in Neon. The other nice thing about this is that if for whatever reason, super testing account already existed in Neon, it would link up. So we would take this right here and we would link it to the existing Gmail account that was associated with it. All right, so when you're complete super testing account, one thing to point out, make sure you always choose an option here. So add new account in Neon or link to existing. If the super testing already exists in Neon, it will try to match against the email address so that it doesn't create duplicates. All right, so one thing to note that when you have a linked bidder in ClickBid, if you go to manage bidders, you're going to see a new tag. Notice here I'm looking for super testing account. I have a tag now for CRM. So you can filter by tags on who is a CRM user or connected account and who is not. All right, so let's keep going. We have export guests. This is a cool new feature that if you're selling tickets to the event, we have here Bob and Sandra. These two are the only two guests in this account. Notice here that Bob already has an account ID. I've gone ahead and exported him to begin with to Neon. But what about Sandra? The reason she's grayed out is because we don't have an email address or a phone number. So let's go ahead and fix that. If I go to manage guests, see Sandra here. Let's just do sttix@seapol.com. And now we have an email address for Sandra. If I go back to integrations, Neon CRM, export guests, I'm going to be able to take her record now and send it to Neon. We need to make sure that you have an email address that we can match it to. Otherwise, we don't have any way down the road to connect any activity to her record. An email address is a really good kind of a stamp for us to do that. All right, but now let's say that we go into event tickets, manage guests. And now I have Sandra. I'm going to make her into a bidder. So I selected her record, chose make bidder. And you can do this. This happens either when you use this page, manage guests, or if you make her a bidder from the Butler tool. Now here you can see that, she has Sandra Testing Ticks has a bidder number. Bidder record is what I was trying to say. Let's just take a look, Sandra. All right, great. So she is now in as a bidder. Cool. So what happens if I go to Butler and Sandra wants to make a donation of $125. And then remember that in order for us to send a sale to one of our CRMs, they have to be checked out. So I'm just going to choose cash and complete. So now Sandra has a sale that has been completed. We come back down to integrations, Neon CRM, and we want to export sales. So if I go here to the sales, you can see here there is a cash donation. And what I want to do is just choose the sale that I want to send to Neon, and I am going to export. I didn't try to match. Neon we're going to check Neon for a matching email address, and if we find it, we're going to make sure that it gets attached to that one instead of a brand new one. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to I'm going to keep everything the same, everything consistent, press export sales. And again, within 5 minutes, that data is going to make its way to the CRM, and it looks like it already did. So cash donation, if I go in and I do a search for Sandra Testing Ticks, you're going to see that she has a donation, $125. That's great. Now, you'll also notice here that there's a couple of custom objects here. We have a ClickBid activity and we have a ClickBid attendee. So whenever a donation is sent over to Neon, we're going to create a record in the ClickBid activity custom object. What does that look like? It gives us a bunch of information: an event ID, event name, keyword, date, fair market value, what it was, how much or what category, the type of item, how much was paid, the fair market value, tax deductible amount, and so on, so that you can create historical reporting on ClickBid activity that you can't store inside of a account record or a donation record. We like to keep it separate so that way we can pass as much metadata as possible that can be helpful to you, in addition to the actual donation itself. Now, once an event is over, you'll remember that in the settings, I went ahead and said, hey, hold on to this button until you get to the end of your event. So let's say it's a week later, maybe 2 weeks later, you just go ahead and press that send attendee data. It's going to chew through all of your information and send attendee information to Neon. So not a activity record, but when I refresh this, we're going to have a ClickBid attendee record. So when I click on that, I can see here record 88. This is going to have complete information about who I am and what I did in the event. If I had a table assignment, it would show that. Was I a ticket holder? Yes, I was. Did I donate at the event? I didn't buy anything, but I did make a donation. I placed bids, which yes, I did do. Number of bids was 1. Total amount was $125, and then so on. Some more metadata about me in this event that you can then use down the road historically. The nice thing about this data is that's what we're all about these days with AI and aggregating data into a single database of truth. That's what we're trying to do at ClickBid, is push as much metadata as we can so that over time, you're collecting all of this information that you can then use as AI tools become more and more robust. All right, let's end this here at the activity log. You can see here that pretty much anything we do in the system is going to be logged here in the record. This is great for you. It's also great for us. If you have a question and you submit a support ticket to us, we can take a look at it. We have dedicated staff that help with integrations, and they really do use this information to make sure that everything's exporting properly, and they can certainly jump in here and take a look. All right, well, there you go. That is the new Neon integration with custom objects and auto syncing. Hope you enjoy. Please let us know if you have any questions.